Hey everyone, let's have a little chat about TBRs because we love talking about TBRs and TBR piles, and I've been doing that since 2013 on my channel. I think the first video I made about reducing my TBR was back in 2013 before a vacation going to London. And if you've been following me around, you know that going to London is always boosting up my TBR because I have access to wonderful bookshops, original books, new printed, and secondhand, where they're cheap and wonderful looking and tempting, and I don't have that here. So when I'm at home in Hanover, I don't really go book shopping that often. I don't like the bookshops we have in Hanover. I rarely read German books. I mostly read English books, which helps me not spend a lot of money in bookstores in Germany. But when I look at the book piles that I constantly stack up, I really wanted to focus on reducing that. So back in 2018, I really concentrated on that. I actually looked at all the data I had for my TBR pile. And as you can see, it's been moving up and down a lot. But in 2018, I, for the first time, included my digital TBR pile. Yes. So I put together all the books I owned that I hadn't read but wanted to read. I do have unread books that I don't have a priority for reading, so we don't count those. We're talking about the books that are in my TBR pile, which are books that I buy because I'm really interested in reading them. I'm excited about them. But because there are so many of them and I can't read all the books all the time, I need to focus on them. And when I find all the new shiny things, I forget about the books in the TBR pile. I think we're all the same there, so nothing to feel bad about. But I decided that I don't want to do this anymore. I want to have a TBR that is manageable, meaning that I can get to the books in my TBR within a year of buying them. And I've been working on that. And it's been really successful. I got my TBR down to under 15, and I mainly have books in there that I bought last year, which is good. I think there are 2 left from before 2019, but 2 is really amazing. Now, I did learn quite a lot of things in this 2-year journey of getting my TBR to a manageable and current state. And I thought I'll share some of that with you. A huge thing or change that helped me reduce the TBR and get control over my book buying that I generally do from Hanover is I didn't order all the things that sounded exciting. I didn't stack up on audiobooks. I didn't click the buy button on ebooks all the time. I just put all the things that I heard about but didn't really have time to pick up now on a wish list. So instead of having a huge TBR pile, I have a huge wish list now for physical books, for audiobooks, and for ebooks. And I really like that because it gives me the opportunity to easily find a book that I'm interested in whenever I want to read something, but don't feel like anything I have right now. So if I don't feel like any of the audiobooks I have, but I still have a credit or want to get something new, I check the wish list for books that I've been meaning to get or was interested in at some point. The same with ebooks. If I don't find any other book on my physical TBR, I just look at the wish list for my ebooks and purchase something. And with digital books, it's very easy because they arrive maybe a minute later. You can wait that long. We can do that. Physical books, it's a little bit harder, but it also helps because I had a lot of books in my TBR pile that were bought on impulse because the books were hyped. Everybody was talking about them, or I pre-ordered them because I thought I was interested in the topic, but then I never got around to reading them. And by the time I started reading them and picked them up, I kind of lost interest. That's happened to quite a few books, especially with series or books that I thought were really interesting back then. But things change. I've changed, readings changed, and some books just don't stand the test of time. So I had books in my TBR that I completely lost interest in, and that the hype died down, and the books alone didn't really support that. They didn't live up to expectations even years after I bought them. And so with reducing all the impulse buy and putting books in a wish list, it really reduced the books that I lose interest in. I was looking at books that I was interested in buying 5 years ago, but a lot of them I just don't even remember and have no interest in getting anymore. So if I had bought all those books, they'd be lying around here and I still wouldn't want to read them. So I think that's where a huge part of my TBR pile came from books that I thought I wanted to read, but I lost interest along the way. And because I didn't have time to pick them up earlier, I just never did. And that's why I want to have a more current TBR, where I have a chance to get to the books a lot faster. So after 2 years of doing this, I'm very happy with where my TBR stands. I like the new habits I have on the general book buying rules and guidelines that I follow now for myself, and it really helps me. That doesn't mean that you have to do that. That doesn't mean that you have to reduce your TBR. If you're good with a big TBR and like the choice and selection and don't mind getting to the books years later and you're still happy you have read them afterwards, some books I do that. I'm glad I finally read it, but I really didn't enjoy it. That's all fine. Everybody has a different attitude to their TBRs. But if your TBR stresses you out, you might want to think about some strategies on how to deal with your TBR. And not going book shopping in Hanover really helps. I'm sorry if you live in London. I probably couldn't handle that. Anyways, let's talk about TBRs. How are you doing on your TBR journey? Are you happy? Are you increasing, decreasing? What are your tricks? What are your goals? Let's talk in comments. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.